Warning, some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
4 years ago, this podcast started with Ryan and Ash. We took a break, we came back. Ash then stepped away for a bit, and I took this podcast up a level and spent a year also trying to keep people in the loop of who he was and bring him back. But the inevitable has happened. For the first time in over a year, I'm going to say this. Welcome to Talks With Dorks. My name's Ryan, and this is my good friend, Ash. Ash, how you doing?
Not bad.
Welcome
So
back.
yeah, we've done the old lockdown podcast like half the country.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's like, as I say, like you saying I took a step back, but like you saying you wanted to take it to another level, and to do that, obviously you had to, like you was telling me how much this podcast changed. So you had some rules, didn't you? And
Yes.
like I was saying, like I did jot down a couple of the new rules because obviously you're like, it's changed a lot. We need you back on. I'm like, oh great. You're like, but there's like rules. There's like, and you could maybe you can go into a little bit of detail with them and explain like where they were kind of coming from, because it's like rule number one, you was obviously saying we got to keep swearing down, which that's me fucked, because swearing is like sometimes that's 80% of my vocabulary. Bear in mind, yeah, okay, I'm guilty of it. I probably swear a bit too much sometimes, but fuck it, you know. So where did that come from? It's like, is this what? Because you've got a big team now. You've got like a team of like 6 people or something. There's you, and then there's others. So you can explain where some of these rules were coming from as such.
Do you want me to give you that explanation before you give the next rule then?
Yeah, go on then.
No, it was just one of them that because we are starting to do a lot more work with people in the professional world and stuff like that, it was kind of like we were sort of pointed out that maybe just clean it up a little bit. Listen, I'm fully prepared that this episode is going to have a disclaimer over it. It always has when you've been involved, to be fair. So if we're kicking it old school, we're kicking it old school. And yeah, I mean, I am concerned that with you and interviews on this podcast might be an issue, but we've got a big one potentially planned for next week, so we'll see how that goes.
All right.
Rule number 2.
Rule number 2. This was a big one from you, and you put a lot of emphasis on this. No mention of nonces.
Oh, for...
So, obviously, one, I'd like to know, like, because we can all get on board with nonces are bad, right? We don't like nonces.
Yes,
absolutely. We can all kind of bond over the fact of, like, nonces are terrible human beings and they're fun to take the piss out of. But I just wondered why all of a sudden this rule came in of not mentioning nonces. Like, why we weren't allowed to mention nonce once. Like, who come up with that rule?
That is just because it is a touchy... Oh, that's a really bad way of explaining it. Why do you do this to me? We're 2 minutes into it, and I'm making
hit the nail on the head, Ryan.
Yeah, it's a very touchy subject.
Oh, I bet it is.
I hate you. Right, recording's over. We're done. So it's just one of them, like, because... we don't want a reputation of like 1 minute being professional and then having 10,000 jokes about paedophile. Not jokes, but like.
So was it you that come up with the don't mention nonces? Because like, I don't know, it's a bit sus, mate. Because you know who else didn't like mentioning nonces? Epstein. Do you know why he didn't like mentioning nonces?
Because he had a ring of them.
Exactly. And not being funny, there's a whole list of people coming out apparently soon that don't like mentioning nonces. So I'm just saying, not mentioning them is a little bit sus.
I can honestly say I've never been to the island. Other than on Flight Simulator, but that was just because you could.
Just a flyby.
No, you can land on the island on Flight Simulator.
Christ.
Yeah, like that's literally a thing, but like that's a bit weird, isn't it? Like that they've actually made it like quite realistic as well. It's like
what were they like, kids waiting for you with the little Honolulu thing?
No, can we move on? We need to move on.
Okay, so
this feels like
cutting down on the swearing, no mentioning of the touchy subject, and was there any other rules I'm missing? Because Christ, we've got to
I'm pretty sure, I can't think of any right now, but I'm pretty sure you'll remind me of it before the end of the episode of what other rules are in place.
And other than that Ashley's not allowed on with other guests.
Well, I mean, I was starting to consider it until 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, just put a little disclaimer on beforehand and just say, like, you know, he's a bit much.
That's a way of explaining it. You are a bit much. Yes, he doesn't know when to not try the funny and when to hold back with his funnies. That is true. That is absolutely the truth. Because you like getting the pop out of anything, and would do what it takes to get.
Most of the time, I just do it for myself, and I do love the fact that sometimes you just walk into it. I was going to say a swear word, but see, look how I've grown as a human being.
I'm
not
impressed.
vertically, but you know,
no, you're still quite short. But
I held back on the swear word. Then I'm fucking proud of myself for that one.
Oh, mate, listen. Do you know how many? Like, I've got to now go through this at least 6 times, and we're only 5 minutes in to go beep beep. I'm not.
Oh, have you got a beeper?
No, but I can add one, and I feel like this is going to be the most edited episode I've done.
There's just going to be like one big long beep with the fuck shit bollocks cunt knob nonsense, and it's just like there's just one big long beep. Unless they can lip read.
Oh, mate, did you actually just? Oh.
Then you're fucked.
Are you doing this to like not ever come back again?
No, I'm trying to get it out the way early. If I can get it out the way now, hopefully it's going to dull down those urges. It's literally like that don't touch that button kind of thing with me. It's like, don't do that.
Do you know what? Seeing as you're back, I should also say welcome back, Emma. Thank you for tuning in, because I'm sure now you're back, you'll have one of your friends pop in and say hi.
Emma's not on the podcast, by the way.
No.
Even you got me then. You was like, let's say hello to Emma. I was like, wait, there's someone else in the podcast? I was like,
no, but
you said like Ashley Strictly, no guests.
But as one of your friends, Emma has always been a fan of when you're around, and we haven't.
That
heard
is a
from her
point.
over.
Talking about guests, does that limit the amount of guests you're allowed on now? You're not allowed to mention nonsense, because I know it's quite popular amongst like people of like power and famous people.
What do you mean, limited the amount of guests?
Well, if you're not allowed to mention nonsense, are you allowed to have nonsense on?
Well, obviously not.
It's just it makes it really difficult to tell different, because literally it's like the popular in thing to do at the moment, isn't it?
Well, like it's this is I think why
it's
are
like
we going
everyone's coming out as one.
Like, it's bad and it's worrying. Like when I mean, there are certain people on the list that has been released that they're going, it isn't involved or is involved, but there is a lot of names on there that could destroy. Like for me, being a DJ, there's enough artists on there. Go, that's
and a nonce as well.
Ash, all right, too far. You're taking it too far, and we are literally 8 minutes in.
So much of this is going to be edited out. It's fine, or
Oh,
at least bleeped. Right. Should we move on to the actual podcast?
I think we should wrap up, to be honest.
Sweating.
I'm sweating.
Let's get straight on with the podcast then, because I know you've probably written a long list of stuff that we can talk about with you.
I haven't actually,
not?
because I said to you, like, I feel like me and you, because we haven't spoke about it in a while, could talk Marvel and DC, because you know there's a lot going on, especially with DC, because it's a whole new universe coming.
Yeah.
Marvel has had its ups and downs. Like, I don't know. Let's think. Since we last recorded, what have they had? Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine was a big one.
Well, it's like, I think you know my point of view, and I think I've said this many times. I don't think there's been much that they've brought out that's been any good since the what was it, Endgame? But like then again, even Endgame, I liked the first, because it was like was it a 2-part or 3-part? I can't remember.
2-part.
So long since 2-part. So the first part was good, and then the second part I thought dropped off. I don't really like the final Endgame movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of, like, I've seen it so many times now. It's kind of like, yeah, this was great when I first watched it, the first row through, but now it's kind of like, all right, okay. But to be honest, I think it's a conversation we had about Spider-Man No Way Home. It's one of them that if I go back and watch it, I don't watch the first 2 hours. I'll get to the point where I'll pretty much watch the Endgame battle, because that's like the biggest part of the movie. The rest of it is a lot of messing about, trying to get to...
that was another film that I like watching. I went, this film literally only got by on the fact that they had 2 cameos. And the whole film was just based around those 2, well, the 2 main cameos of the Spider-Man. Obviously, there was more with fucking Green Goblin and...
But I'm saying, it was great film the first time you watch it, but realistically, we all know what we're going into that Spider-Man, because realistically, the storyline about like the fact that half of it is because of him going to not
Yeah,
being
it
able
was
to go
lacking
to.
as fuck.
It's because he loses his aunt because he couldn't get into college because everyone knows he's Spider-Man. Basically, like this whole thing happens because he couldn't get into college, and you think, wow, that's quite a lot to happen. Like the whole multiverse opens up because Spider-Man weren't getting into MIT. Realistically, it's quite a big plot point to have all that happen, but it is one of the movies where now I'll fast forward it to roughly about the time when his aunt dies, because then you're going to get Maguire and Garfield, and then the end battle and the cool little references to all the old Spider-Man movies. It's all nostalgia, but
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the multiverse is open in Marvel quite a lot. Obviously, that we know that you've got stuff like what's the first next Avengers film called? It's Doom, isn't it? Doomsday.
Oh yeah. With the
So we've got Robert Downey Jr.
Fuck knows where they're going with this one, but
I
I
mean,
don't mind it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be interesting because I feel like every kind of superhero movie now is using the whole multiverse as a fallback for, let's just explain it via the multiverse. It's like, why is now Iron Man, Doctor Doom? Fucking multiverse, isn't it? It's like, it's almost like lazy writing for me. It's like, fuck it, we do what we want, and then it's like, we'll just multiverse done it.
I think, yeah, that's the way. I mean, the thing is, the way they've dealt with the multiverse. I mean, Deadpool again. Spider-Man was good one. Deadpool, Wolverine, like, again, the actual storyline of that movie isn't fantastic, but like how they put that film out, how they incorporated the Fox multiverse was so good that it does hold up as a good multiverse story. But the rest of the multiverse part of it, like the whole Kang thing, went out the window because of obviously the trouble he got in. Ant-Man, the multiverse side of it wasn't great. Doctor Strange, the multiverse of madness, was so underwhelming. And it's like you could have done so much more with that, so much more with it. Hopefully they continue to do the multiverse better. I mean, you've got obviously Fantastic Four coming this year, and that really looks like
that I'm like excited for, because I was saying there's not much that Marvel's been doing. Like, they've done the whole new Captain America film that's recently just come out. Haven't seen it. Gonna wait till it's on Disney before I watch it. But it's like, I've just heard from most people it's just a massively underwhelming film. And the fact that Red Hulk's shown in the trailers so much is have you seen this film yet?
No, not yet. I haven't.
So
I was gonna go see
most
it.
people were saying that actually all that Red Hulk stuff you see in the trailers is literally the entire film that the Red Hulk's in. Like, that's all the scenes. So you're not going to see much of him.
I've heard like, a lot of people say it's not a Captain America movie. It's an Incredible Hulk 2008 sequel.
Yeah.
It's a follow-on from that film, like 15 years or 17 years. 17 years. 17 years later, it's actually a sequel to that, because it continued. Like, I've seen people that are in it and stuff like that, and it's linked very heavily to that film rather than the Captain America film. I've heard a lot of people say it's good. It's better than what the critics have said it is going to be. But again, this is the thing. Disney started so well because of lockdown, when they were dropping things so quick on Disney Plus. I think that spoiled their cinema experience quite a lot, because people know in a month and a half it's going to be on Disney Plus. So I really want
that though. It's literally like everything they're doing is just it's like they're just digging characters out now of the Avengers, and it's like, let's just take this character and put him in his own film, and get this person, put them in their own film. And they've not been trying anything new. And the problem is they're going over old ground with lackluster characters that have always been like side characters, like Falcon being now the new Captain America. He was kind of just a sidekick character. He was a throwaway character in the entirety of the Avengers. He had no real big roles in the films whatsoever. It was just another side piece character. And now they've made him the lead in his own movie. It's like, it just feels like they're grasping at straws with characters, whereas they weren't trying anything new. Whereas now the Fantastic Four, it's like, okay, we're going to do something new. And like, as you've seen from the trailer, adding like Galactus in there. I don't suppose he's even going to be like the main villain of the story, because they always try and hide stuff, don't they? Marvel and stuff like that. But even just teasing Galactus for a little bit, that's a big fucking villain to start with. You know, it's like, that's
it is. And it says a lot about what this film could be, because I think they've said that he is not the main bad guy of that film. Which, I mean, like, hang on, sorry, Galactus is not a main bad guy. But
well, I think that's more of like they're probably going to do this whole jump. You know, like they do in these Marvel films, where it's like a jump to the future of what could happen or what's going to happen if this doesn't get fixed. And it's more of like that might be a glimpse into the future type scenario, which they've used in the trailer because it's like Galactus, massive freaking bad guy.
There's what I've seen, or what I've been sort of like people are talking about, is obviously the Fantastic Four, the universe they live in clearly isn't the 616, the what do they call it, the sacred timeline that we know of in Marvel, because obviously it's like a 1950s futuristic kind of world. It's like the Jetsons kind of futuristic look, isn't it? Like the over clean, like futuristic look. So I think that and what people have been saying is that is obviously it's a different universe to the main one, and either the Fantastic Four have come from the sacred timeline, somehow got their powers and ended up there, or they're in that universe, and I strongly believe Galactus is going to end that universe, and that's what brings them to the sacred timeline.
Well, we ain't got too long to find out. I mean,
so which is good if they do, because it's not underselling Galactus. If he does destroy a world, an Earth, it isn't the one that we know. But it's also showing that, hang on, their one's been destroyed. He is a powerful force, and they can revisit that later on, Galactus, or another version of Galactus that's in our universe, unless he's a multiversal kind of character in this. We don't know. It's a lot of questions to be asked. And I think, like you were saying about characters and Marvel, like, using that, I think one of the biggest is we know they've had rights to Fox characters, the X-Men, and Fantastic Four for a few years now, and obviously they didn't.
I still stand by my comment before of like I think X-Men now is the only thing that's going to save the kind of Marvel universe, because I think it's just got stale and everyone's bored. And I think now it's time to let's get rid of the whole, or let's just put a pin in the Avengers kind of Marvel arc. Still keep making our little Disney shows if we want to about them, because that's what they seem to do a lot of. They've got their little Disney shows on Captain America and all these ones, all those supporting characters. They're good for TV series, for a little background into the characters. I don't think they hold their own in the movie, because like look at the Captain America TV series which was, I thought that was pretty good, you know. And then compared to a movie, it's like I don't think they're holding their own in terms of like the big box office movie. I think it's better for those smaller TV shows, and then start on the whole X-Men universe as the big build up to the next lot of films.
That's what I mean. So, like, obviously, yes, that we know they've had the rights for a while, and obviously they didn't want to rush it and just because they've got the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four, get it out. But it's become like, hang on, you've been making other stuff that we're not really happy with when we know you've got these characters we want to play with. We want to see a new... I mean, as much as I'll gladly see Hugh Jackman still be Wolverine, because he is our Wolverine that we've spent 20 years with.
No, I still think he needs to be recast.
We need a new... I mean, we don't know. It still could be that X-Men world is the X-Men world that's brought into it. I hope not. As much as I love the X-Men we've had, I do, you know, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, all the characters have been fantastic. If we're going to do it and really get a universe, if they want to continue it, I think they need to go with a fresh cast and do stuff. I mean, I don't know if the Henry Cavill Wolverine will be a thing, but at least we got a little cameo.
Again, like he's a bit old for it as well.
But then Wolverine is meant to be a bit rugged. He's at kind of that right look age for me for Wolverine. But then
like I've always said, like these films, you've got to think of like how long the Avengers have been going since the first Iron Man to now, and it's like right, so you've got to sit there and think, right, if we're going to go for a big like film movie franchise, we've probably got 10 years in us.
Yes.
So where's he going to be from thingy to that age? You know, it's like people change a lot in 10 years. So it's like you casting people around about the 20s, mid-20s means that they're going to be pushing 40 by the time you get into the end of it, you know? And then even if they're pushing 40, you can still use them for films going forward. They're not going to be too old, because that's the problem with a lot of them. Like Iron Man's Robert Downey Jr. is like his age now compared to... I mean, he was fairly old when he started the Iron Man movies, wasn't he? He was like, he's got to be like his 40s.
He was late 30s, early 40s. It's weird to think now, because it has been 17 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, this is still Iron Man. You know, and
it's
like,
one of them things where you think time's been sped up, because the fact that realistically that Iron Man film doesn't feel like it should be 17 years old.
yeah,
But
no,
it
I was
really
actually
is.
quite taken aback by that when you just said 17.
Yeah.
I thought it was probably about 10, but I was like,
But
okay,
it's mad,
and then
isn't it?
doubled that.
2008, that film, and it's one of those things. Then when people, oh my God, it's my battery that's running low. My laptop had unplugged itself. That was lucky. 17 years ago, they have it. It's like when people are talking about, like when you think about it now, the 80s are like 1989 is 36 years ago. It's as many years ago for us to the 80s as it was to when we were born to the 50s.
Yeah.
So like, and it's like I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm like this now where any like show that I watch, have you noticed like any show where it brings up their name and their age? Like for example, I'm like, you know, I'm 40 now, so I get involved in these programs. You know what it's like when you've got misses. I'm now into maths. Do you know what this is?
Oh, I know what maths is, but I don't know about a TV show called Maths.
Married at First Sight Australia and the British one. So Married at First Sight Australia, I shit you not, is one of those programs where, you know, where it's, and I know you've done it because everyone's done it, and any guy that says they haven't is talking absolute yint. But you'll be in the room when this is on. They'll be into it, and it happened like with other stuff like Love Island. I'm not so much Love Island, but this one, you'll get the odd episode, wouldn't you? And you'll pop in and you do that whole thing where you walk in, you just like stand by the door and you're just like, shit, isn't it? And then you walk out, and then 2 days later you're in the same episode and go, weren't he with like that guy? And they're like, and then they go, yeah, and you're like, oh, right, shit, isn't it? You walk out, and then like 3 days later you're back in and go, oh fuck, that was deep, why'd he say that? And then you end up sitting down on the couch, didn't you? And you end up watching it halfway through, but you're asking so many questions, they're getting pissed off at you. So now I'm like, I actually proper got into that last Australian one halfway through the season, and now I've started watching this, and all the fucking TikToks are coming up about what they're saying and stuff like that. It's funny shit, mate. It's like you got some fat bloke that's like, oh, I'm a nice guy, I just want a nice girl, and this is like the new controversial guy, and he's like, oh, I just want a nice girl, I'm sick of people just calling me the nice guy. Big fat bloke kind of thing. Fat girl comes in, he's pissed off that he hasn't got a skinny petite blonde. And he's sitting there going, she's too fat for me. I'm like, mate, you look like a fucking slug. He looked like Nesbitt with his fucking vest on and his little fucking hat, sitting in the corner like, I just want a petite girl. I was like, mate, you're a primary school PE teacher who's fucking overweight. You look like a fucking Jabba the Hutt with slave layer, and you're wanting fucking, oh, I want a nice petite blonde. I was like, lower your expectations, buddy. But it's funny. Like, this is the thing.
There's parts of this where you've literally, you have cleaned up your act, and then for some reason you're really passionate about Married at First Sight that you have said the word fuck 30 times in 40 seconds.
I'm like a Limp Bizkit song, mate. I just start dropping it. When I get into it, I'm like, boom. But no, it's I digressed, because what I was actually saying about is what surprises me when you're watching these programs, because they're one of those programs where you introduce people. It comes up their name, doesn't it? And their age. And what I've started to notice now is everyone's age that pops up is like either late 20s or early 30s. And now you're starting to realise just how old you are, because you go back to a time when you used to watch TV and everyone's adults, and you're like watching people much older than you on TV. And now it's got to a point where every program I watch, I'm the oldest one. And yeah. I'm starting to realise that I'm a lot closer to retirement now than I am to a lot of these people's ages. I'm just like, this is shocking. I won't even watch Love Island, because like the Love Island ones, they're all like freaking 19, 20.
I'm having it so often of like this constant reminder of what age we're at, because obviously I still work, you know, I do DJ, and I work with youngsters. I'm around 18, 19-year-olds all the time.
We won't go into that subject again. That's rule number 2, isn't it? We're not allowed to mention that.
Can we just have a serious conversation, please?
I didn't mention it. I was just saying before we get there. I'm trying to. You literally just said about I weren't cleaning up my act, and then you're talking about being around young kids, and then I was
let me word this properly.
Rule number 2.
I am a DJ, and obviously in the DJ world,
yep.
And people will come out will be
Timmy
roughly.
Mallet.
18 to 25 of the age, and when you realise, like I've said this on here before, there was a girl who comes into Southend that I was having a conversation with her, and it turns out I was literally in the same class in primary school as her mum, and it was like, oh my God, I'm literally I'm now DJing for people whose mums I went to school with. That is really...
Instantly started on Instagram as like seeing if mum's fit, didn't you? He knows me too well. No, I don't do such things.
No. It's just that they might listen.
Skip. Holiday pick, nice.
No, not that. But this is what I'm saying. But then, like, again, as a man, do you find like your taste in women has changed as well? Like you'll look for the older woman now, and as such, like the
the milfs are now the gilfs. Like this is what I was saying about. I was saying this to like one of my friends the other day. Actually, we was having this whole conversation of like it's weird that our generation, like there's a lot of guys that I see on TV that are more like, I'm going to have to break rule number 2, but there's a lot of guys on TV that are like in their 30s or 40s that are a little bit noncy and like, oh, I'm looking for like an 18-year-old girl, 19-year-old girl. But when we were like 20, we were looking for that 13-year-old women.
Sorry?
And when we was like 20, we was looking for that 30-year-old women.
It sounded like you said 13. I was like...
you have got it on the brain. You DJs. No. Like, pack it in. Right.
Sorry, if anyone listens, they'll go back to that little bit then, skip back 20 seconds, and it sounded like you said 13. I was like...
Yeah, no, you know what's going to happen now? People are going to go back. The nonces are going to hear 13, and everyone that's normal is going to be like, no, he said 30. Anyway, like I was saying, so when we were 20, and we were looking for those women that were 30...
Yeah.
Right? And now it seems to have been pushed. Now we're all like 35, 40. And now it's like, we're still looking at like the Pamela Andersons that are now like pushing 60. It's like...
Mate,
so, the MILFs are now the GILFs. And it's like,
right,
still got a GILF fetish.
Okay, so where did the word MILF come from?
Pornhub. Are we allowed to mention stuff like that? I don't know. Is that like a rule number 3? Are we not allowed to mention adult websites?
Well, it's too late now, isn't it? So that's...
Can we get them on the show as guests? Because I can do those.
Talks with Dicks. Talks with Dorks on the tour, like us in the back of the fake taxi doing an interview.
that's an interview I'd like that.
There is. I'll have to send you a picture. There is an old style Ford KA around here. Like, remember the first ever very small shaped, original shaped KA?
Yeah, you normally see them now hanging around the McDonald's car parks.
Yeah, this one around here is literally
like
it's orange with a black bonnet, and it's got across the windscreen fake taxi. It's like, that looks like the creepiest car you'll ever find in your life.
Yeah, don't get into unmarked taxis, people.
Yeah, please don't. And even ones with stickers that say fake taxi and look like the real fake taxi, just know that you're probably going to be rimming more than Arnold J. Rimmer. Yeah, that's true though. But what was we talking about? And I've dived off now.
We was going maths, and then you started talking about 13-year-olds while I was talking about 30-year-olds.
No.
And then...
Fucking, I'm gonna
You wanted a recap, so I'm recapping.
No, but we were talking about something, and I was getting to a point.
We was talking about like the women and all that.
Oh, yeah. Where did the word before Pornhub? Before Pornhub was even a thing, this was around the time MILF came in 1999. So when we were still hanging around.
Mostly be 90s, yeah. Like most shit come out in the 90s.
No, there is a particular film it comes from. Come on, Ash, you'll know
American
where it comes.
Pie?
Yes. Right, so that's where MILF. That's where we learnt the word MILF, wasn't it? And then that was before Pornhub. That was when we were still like trying to find 30 magazines around the back of.
That was the old Littlewoods catalogues that you stole from your mum's, took upstairs in the old.
Littlewoods.
Mate, it was before internet. It was desperate times.
Yeah, but you go around Andrew's corner and hang around the back of that newsagent's because you know he'd throw his old dirty mags out.
Oh God.
I sent you the picture, didn't I? When I went up in the loft the other week. This is the stuff that we said we were going to do when we first started this podcast. Go up in my loft and see what we could find. I'm glad we didn't, because the first things I found up there was an old dirty mag. I was like, wow, that's been here for like 20 odd years.
And a creche. I love the fact that you started to laugh and then you realise what I said.
Oh, I actually hate you. I don't know. it's been a one-off episode with Ash. I'm glad he's come back.
I'm just getting over being ill as well, so I've got a friggin' like chest and everything on me.
Listen, trust me, we are half an hour in. People know you're sick.
Oh, lovely. Oh, are you talking like in the head? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Up here.
I wonder where he's going with it. I was
so,
like, Christ, has it been that noticeable?
Back to my point about the MILF. So 1999, the word MILF became a popular theme because of American Pie. MILF, MILF, MILF.
Yeah.
Mom, I'd like to fuck. Imagine this, I saw a thing yesterday that there is a rumour that they are about to make the actual final American Pie movie.
Oh, yeah,
and the storyline is supposedly the funeral of Stifler's mum. I'm like, what? With that,
this is about to go somewhere very dark.
No. But it's what I'm saying. Like, hang on. So we're at the age that we came through. Like, Stifler's mum was a MILF, and now she's dying. Wow, I'm old. Like, if Stifler's mum is dying, we are old, fam. Old. That's just so messed up. Like,
now it's like Kilf.
A kid. Don't say it.
You can work it out.
Oh yeah, I know. I just leave it there. Fuck's sake. Right, so that was the state of Marvel.
Did we talk about Marvel?
Yeah,
I think we went round Marvel a lot. Like Marvel was the epicenter, but I think we kind of like danced around at every other subject there.
Yeah, I'm sure we mentioned Galactus at least once, and that was probably the only thing you didn't. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Like mentioning Galactus was the only thing that didn't go down a route of kind of Rule 2 that we're not allowed to talk about. But so Marvel, it is Marvel. Marvel
didn't even speak about Daredevil actually, which I'm really looking forward to because that's one of those that I loved. Daredevil on Netflix.
Yeah,
it started to drop off. When the hand, wasn't it? It's like the Foot Clan, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle type things. It's like they've got the hand, and it's like. Actually, I think I heard someone the other day that like that was heavily influenced on Ninja Turtles. That it's in the same universe. Someone was saying like the writer that done the original Daredevil done the original Ninja Turtles or some shit like that. So okay. That's why there's so similarities between like the hand and the foot and all this kind of stuff. It's very influenced by it or something.
Yeah, now he's over at DC making the torso.
Yeah. But it's that kind of thing that it's like it dropped off with the hand. I didn't really like the whole hand storyline. I thought the final season of Daredevil Netflix kind of dipped a bit for me. But I'm like as a Daredevil character with the whole if they're staying down that darker tone with it, I'm going to be all for it. And the fact that Punisher's in it, I know. And I was like, I've seen just one clip of him versus like Bullseye, and I was like from TikTok or something like that, and I was like, holy cow, I want to see this so bad. But
all I can confirm for you is, I suppose it's not spoiler because he's going to fight Bullseye.
Yeah,
that's in the first 10 minutes.
I gathered it's going to be like because they're not going to release stuff that's too midway through the season. It's going to be something like let's show you something that happened, like a proper full-on scene from the first 1 or 2 episodes, because they drop those always straight away. So I gathered that going by the trailer of him no longer being Daredevil, I think that fight's got a lot to do with it because he looked like a fucking porcupine. I was like, I think that probably like, I need to take a break from being a whole superhero thing because it's damn near killed me. So I was like, I thought that might be something to do with why and you could probably confirm because you've watched the first 2 episodes, I think, in your.
I've seen most of the first episode. I was getting a bit tired watching it, so I was like, I'm gonna stop it. And I actually think I'm gonna. I'm actually after 4 years taking a bit of a leaf out of your book because it's like I'm not as in much of a rush to watch the Marvel stuff as I was with like WandaVision, Loki. Yeah. Have to get it there and then, and I don't have as much time as I used to.
I don't know how. See, I don't know how I used to do it before I had any recording technology. Like that, watching 1 episode each week kills me now. I cannot do it to the point where the moment, obviously, you could do video, like it weren't necessarily videotapes. It was more like skyboxes where recording, like started to become a thing where I'm like, right, well now I'm no longer going to watch this from episode 1. I'm going to record this, wait till it's all finished, then I'll binge watch it. Because I'm one of these people that, depending on what day you get me on a weekday, if I've got work, it might be I'll watch 1 episode, 2, maybe 3. Or there'll be some days on a weekend where I'll get it, and I'm so into this program, I can watch like 7 episodes and I've wasted an entire freaking day just like trapped off in my room watching whatever TV shows popular at the time. But that I like to have that option of like, oh, I'm going to watch one episode or I'm going to watch all of it.
Yeah. I've started getting into that more because I mean, there's certain things I watch like that. I can't remember if you're a Dexter fan. Did you ever do? Have you?
Yeah, I watched all the original Dexters. Yeah, I've not watched anything on the new one. Like
So-
because they've done like a prequel and then they've done like a follow-on, haven't they?
They
or
did
something?
a follow-on, then a prequel,
Yeah.
and now there's another series that's a follow-on. And
Right.
obviously, I'm pretty sure that we had this conversation many times. I always said Dexter was one of my favourite shows in the world. It had the worst ending of any of my favourite shows ever. Like the way they ended season 8, where he becomes a
Spoilers.
lumberjack. Yes, if you haven't seen the original eight seasons by now.
Well, some people watch your podcast and then go, "Oh, you know what? That sounds actually pretty good," because that's happened a couple of times. We know a couple of people that listened to one of our episodes and went, "You know what? I might go back and watch that. It actually sounds pretty
Or
good."
start watching things. I know people that have watched Cobra Kai because of our podcast, and that was the first ever episode we did. So it's basically it ended really badly, where it was like the whole last half of season 8 was terrible how they ended things, and it was like you destroyed a show. When they brought it back and you watch it, you're like, okay, now a lot of that, there was a lot of problems with that, but the story, the way they continued the story redeems it. How they then go into the prequel, and one thing I can tell you about the prequel, and I've said this so many times, when you get to it, mate, how they have cast every single person that was in the original series. Like, if you remember him, like, honestly, do you remember Angel Batista, the Mexican detective with the dude? The first time I saw the young version of him, I went, I was like,
You've got to do it, though,
Jeez.
haven't you? If you're going to go back and you're going to cast younger versions,
They've
of characters,
done
you've
it.
got to try and get something similar.
like Christian Slater plays. You remember Christian Slater, obviously from the 90s, and like the actor. He plays Harry, Dexter's dad. The kid that plays Dexter, mate. The fact that not only does he have the mannerisms, the voice is like, it sounds like he should sound a bit younger. And they've recreated, like, obviously sometimes you saw flashbacks of things from his earlier days. They've recreated that. Amazing, like, such a good follow-up.
Tell you what,
Really
like,
is.
obviously, spoilers again, but still, Dexter and I think Sons of Anarchy still hold the most shocking death scenes for a character that I've ever witnessed. In the ones that literally like punch me in the gut, I was like, no. And like the Dexter one, you know that one, the
bathtub.
we're going to Disneyland one, fucking Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, mate.
It's like such a 90s like character. It's like, oh, he's like, you know, it's Harry and the Hendersons, Third Rock from the Sun. He's so like, you motherfucker. Like, I hated him after that episode.
Especially because I started with Dexter for season 2 because I was at the time I was working in Basel and I was living with a friend and he was watching it weekly, so we watched it. I started with season 2, and the way that ended, where he nearly got caught, I thought that could be the end. Then you go into season 3 and the way it plans out, and you think he's going to get his happy ending. That was going to be the end.
It's like, yeah,
And then you look at it,
just
and because
turned it all on its head.
and then you have this whole, this could continue because now you've got his son almost reliving what he went through as a child. His son could now factor into this later on when he's grown up, and he could have a dark passenger character to deal with.
Yeah.
And listen, they continue in the story, and there's bits in there. Honestly, if you get time, really make sure you go watch. What's the New Blood is the follow-on, then it's Original Sin, then you've got the next one. But honestly, I guarantee you'll come back to me and go, dude, that actually did redeem what they did.
This is what makes me laugh about these podcasts, is like when we sit and I literally said to you last night, because I know that you go on your little tangent of like trying to write stuff down and all that. So I was like, right, well, what do you want to talk about? And you was like, DC and Marvel. And I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. We'll talk about DC and Marvel. So I can contribute to that. And now we're on fucking Dexter and Sons of Anarchy and
because
Epstein's Island and everything else.
I put it sometimes. I mean, you should understand this in terms of like a wrestling match. There are certain people that have to plan their entire wrestling match. We are the sort of people, when it comes to this, that we bullet points, a couple of things. We know what
I
we're going to talk
wing
about.
everything. I can't.
Do you get the reference? You
Like,
see what I mean?
I said, all I like to know is that when I chat to you in the mornings or something like, or you say, do you want to do an episode of You Through This Day? I go, all right, what are we talking about? Just so I know a bullet point, because there's certain things that you'll have an entire podcast based on that I have no real interest in. I can't contribute to it whatsoever. So I'm just like, I'll skip that one now. Because now you're like, this is the whole reason why I like thought I'd come back. Because I was like, you wanted to go in a certain direction of it. There's two parts of it. One, I might not be interested in some of those directions, and two, I might not be suitable for a lot of those directions.
But
that's probably the main thing at the moment. Is like you're now going into your PG era, and I'm still stuck in the.
Listen, I'm not. I just like I think, especially when it comes to like interview stuff as well, we do need to be a lot more vigilant. We cannot be. Some of the 90% of what we've spoke about on this episode today cannot be happening next week if we're recording someone.
Give it a try. What's the worst that can happen?
That we never ever do another episode again, and all the plans going forward for this podcast are finally over. And I'm not being horrible, dude. I'm putting a lot of money into the certain events that we're doing.
Or it can take off.
Dude, me and you tried 2 runs to make this take off, right?
Yeah, but to be fair, we done it during lockdown, and it's hard to, when, like, as I said, you know, when you got the whole family thing and you got full-time work and stuff like that, it's very hard to try and turn this into a full-time job, especially when this is not profitable in terms of,
I mean,
substantial. Unless we start an OnlyFans. If we
Only
start
Dorks.
Talks With Dorks OnlyFans.
onlydorks.com. We start our own thing. It's just be pictures of you in like Superman thongs.
Hey, if it pays the bills, I'll do it.
On your bed like that. What vibrators he got? It's a stick of kryptonite.
Why we got to go that far? Why am I
Really?
pulling out vibrators now?
You were talking about
It
me
started
being
off one being in bloody, like, yeah, but yours is more like,
Say it.
doable.
I will fucking. I swear to God.
you broke rule number 1 on your own podcast.
You broke every fucking rule.
Yeah,
So
but
I
you
don't-
knew I was going to. You made the rules.
Yeah, I know, and I can't help it when I'm around you. You bring out a fucking anger in me and a fire in me that
There
nobody
is
else.
a darkness within me.
I told you before, you and Tony are very similar. Tony's like the PG version of you. He can bring certain bits out. I mean, he knows how to evoke things. Like, it was a running thing last year of, like, Tony used to tell so many stories that had this, like, element of he was a survivor of certain things. You're like, oh, like, Tony, maybe pull that back from that conversation, because this is making people probably feel for you and want to start a GoFundMe for you for your, like, for things you've dealt with.
And I like the fact that, like, this is how we're so different, and this is why you probably worry more about me being around guests and stuff like that, because you see stuff like that and you're like, oh, let's like, and then there's me like, let's go deeper. Let's delve into what happened. And it's like, I want to pull out the darkness.
Yeah, and say, like, because what you were saying then before about, like, the different directions, maybe there are things that you aren't into. This is what I've been saying to you about. Yes, obviously, there is, like, Woody and Scott officially have started their own podcast. They're still involved. We've still got them doing stuff to do with the wrestling show that we've got going on and stuff. They've started their own podcast. But
Is
we
that
have
like
got
another rule number 2 of a touchy subject?
what? Not. Why was it touchy? Why was it touchy like that?
It's like the people that are watching the video will go back and they'll get it.
Yeah, I know. I know what that means.
I've got a lasting comedy. I like to go back to jokes that I did about 30 minutes ago as well.
Yeah, you got quite good with
all
that.
the greats do it.
Yeah, reference back to what I said earlier.
I know.
Here's what I made earlier. But, like, yeah, Scott and Woody have got their stuff going on. I'm still trying to convince them, like, dude, lads, like, we should still do stuff together. But we've got different people that can talk about different things. Tony is all about the 90s, so that is his thing. That is his gimmick, is that he will do everything to do with the 90s. So this Laferde loves, you know, Power Rangers. He's into
No, but that's what I love about, like, the whole Talks With Dorks things. It is so varied, and there's going to be things that we're not all interested in. Like, I'm massively into my computer games. I fucking love computer games. I've had every single console since the Atari and the Commodore 64, and I'm not like one of those games that like, oh, what games do you play? Call of Duty? No, I was like, I play everything.
Yeah.
It's so varied. I'm on the Nintendo Switch. I'm on the PlayStation. I'm on PC. I'm on Xbox, and I play almost everything and everything. But you're not so much into the game side of it. Like, you are a pick up and play Call of Duty, and you might play the odd, like, Resident Evil because it's a throwback and stuff. So you like dib and dab into.
I used to be a lot
games.
more, but it's more now. And I've been saying this the last couple of weeks because obviously we had Danielle's games on,
Yeah,
and she's obviously massive into it. And I said this, I love a story game, but I don't like. Last time
I
I
noticed
played
how you
Far
waited till Danielle was not on anymore before you invited me back to the podcast.
Yeah, I couldn't have trusted you. I could not have trusted you to.
Touchy subject.
You're a prick. But like again, I was saying to her, like I do love a story game like Far Cry. I love stuff like that, and I love playing big world games. But I don't.
When you've got time as well.
I don't have
That's
that
the
time.
thing,
I haven't been able to do like. I think one of the last. Let me think. Resident Evil 7 or 8. What was the last one? 8 was the last game. I went right today. I'm going to spend all day playing this game and doing story. I don't have that luxury anymore. Having 3 kids. One kid that has additional needs, so he's very.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Oh. But no. But,
So, seriously.
I hate you so much. You're right. You did say this, that 10 minutes into this, I'm going to remember why I don't like having you around. It took 2.5
First
minutes.
episode back, last one as well.
Yeah. See you on season 5. And that gives me 2 years to think, I do miss him.
No, it's like 100%. Like I get it. It's like that's having kids with special needs is what's paid for all these little models behind you. It's a lucrative business. I get it.
Oh, fuck off. So yeah. So, but
I'm joking. We all know.
I know
We've all been touched by the tism. I mean, I got nicked a little bit by it as well.
Yeah,
we've all got our quirks.
Yeah, and what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying is that I don't like. I'd love to have that time, but I just can't. Like, if I'm going to play gaming now, 90% of the time now, I don't start gaming till midnight.
Yeah,
because I can't. I just don't.
The kids' parents are in bed.
I am going to end this podcast. Right, can we just, because we are at 47 minutes, like it always
and we've
happens.
not even touched on DC. Yeah, we've digressed again.
But we always do, and like I said, this is us running through our thing. We just go over to it. But DC has, a new world coming. And there's a lot riding on it, and it's been very, very much stated that as much as James Gunn has a great plan as far as what he believes and we all believe could happen, is that DC have kind of made it known that if Superman fails, they're going to start again. And it's like that's the one. Please don't do that again. Like I have to believe.
Reboot it.
But Superman, and there's still a lot of people that Henry Cavill or Affleck. Yes, listen, I loved Henry Cavill. I love Ben Affleck.
Wrote poorly, but apart from the first Superman was a great film. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, but from there going forward, there was just problem after problem, wasn't there? From Man of Steel, you think what came after Man of Steel? Well, Wonder Woman, phenomenal film. Then you got into it went Man of Steel, Wonder Woman. Then
it was like Batman,
Suicide Squad.
Oh, we're still going to go with that as an actual film, are we?
Now I can show my Jared Leto tattoo, but Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, and there was issues there because instantly there was issues with those films. Then you
Jared
had
Leto
Aquaman.
being a big one.
Okay. I would wish I had Joaquin Phoenix. I've said it, right? It's taken 4 years, but I wish I had Joaquin Phoenix there. Because I'm never going to get my Jared Leto fully that I believed I always thought I was going to get, right? He wasn't that great. I'll say it. I'll admit it. It's taken 4 years, but we're there. But it had just problem after problem after problem. It got to a point that no matter how much we got Zack Snyder's Justice League, there was never going to be any pullback. They tried. They gave us James Gunn's Peacemaker, and there was aspects that we were like, this could continue, but it just got to a point of like, this universe isn't going to work now.
No. I didn't even like the Zack Snyder universe, and then they were all harping on about Zack Snyder in his film, and then they brought out Zack Snyder's take on the film, and it was still dog shit. I thought, I was like, I just didn't like it. I don't like the direction he took it in, And
if you want to hear Ash's full thoughts, go back to season 1 on Spotify. Look for Zack Snyder's Justice League. We went into it. But yeah, so like as much as I would love to see Henry Cavill, I'd love to see Ben Affleck again. James Gunn has stated I couldn't, if I'm going to take this on, I couldn't go with them because I have at least a 10-year plan.
Yeah,
and
I was saying
Ben
about the whole
Affleck,
Marvel thing.
People already kicked off that Ben Affleck was too old to play Batman then. Imagine him in 10 years' time from now. It's not been horrible to Ben Affleck. He is starting to wise up. Henry Cavill, I think he's 42 or 43. He'll be 53. He won't, as horrible as that, he probably won't look like Superman.
Yeah, his hairline massively changed between the first film and just like where he was now as well. It's like we're all getting older.
Yeah, so, and I like this. I like the look of David Corenswet. I've even seen, I think, I don't know if it was in the group, the WhatsApp group I sent it to, that he did a perfume advert where you heard him speak and he's walking towards, and I was like, his voice is really, and like his voice, instantly I went, that's a Superman voice. That is a really Superman voice. Like if we're going as comic accurate, it was very booming, come do it. It was very, very Superman, I felt of it. And so it's like, hopefully they'll get a Clark Kent voice good too as well. And he'll be able to adapt, because I as much as the curly hair is weird for Clark, I love it. I genuinely do love that look, because I'm like, he doesn't look like Superman.
Yeah.
It gives it a different, so James Gunn's universe starts here. What's your thoughts? So what you see, what you're going forward?
I keep like tilting on the concerned and excited, because like DC's rap sheet of fucking things up. Because if we're going to go down the whole Marvel DC, I prefer, like, I like them both, but I do prefer DC. That's the one that when I was younger, that was the ones I'd be picking up in the comic shops. It was Batman, Green Lantern, and the Flash. Those are the comics I would normally read, and so I enjoyed it, especially like the Batman ones. Some of those comics are dark as fuck, and that's the kind of stuff you shouldn't have been reading as a kid. Which was probably, when us lot that grew up in the 80s and 90s, when we was watching stuff like Predator at the age of like 7 and stuff like that, we was watching some violent films when we were young kids that we shouldn't have been watching. Freddy Krueger's and the Halloweens and all them lot, when we were all before the age of 10. Like, so reading the comics was the exact same kind of thing. Ooh, we shouldn't be reading about stuff like this, but we are. And so I've always been associated more with the DC side of things. So it's always painful when you're excited for maybe a comic accurate Batman and you don't really get that, because everyone wants to make it a laughy jokey fucking comedy film, because Marvel's done really well with that. They're starting to bomb now, but Marvel kind of got by with being a jokey comedy thing. So what did Justice League do? Let's add some comedy in there. Let's add a bit too much comedy in there, and it's like it ruins the film. And the James Gunn thing, I love the fact that he's very much going just by off of, say, the Suicide Squad and stuff like that. It's like, I like the fact that he's comic accurate with the looks of them. Like, even down to Polka Dot Man, it's like...
You would love that. You went mental.
I loved it.
For that,
like, if anyone was going to put, like, anything in there, like, why would you put Polka Dot Man in there, and how are you going to, like, pull that off? And it's like, you know what? He just went for it, and it was like...
And he choked like the cat, like Dave Smolchin as him...
Mate, I loved it, and
it's brilliant.
It's one of those characters where it's like you can't put Polka Dot Man in a movie. It's like putting Condiment Man in a movie. It's like you just can't put them in a movie. It's not going to work. You can't make them comic book accurate. But then he just went, no, fuck you, I'll do what I want, and he done.
James Gunn is brilliant at that, giving you characters. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy.
But the problem with those two things is the comedy again. So now I'm starting to worry, is like, I love the fact that James Gunn's quite accurate, and he does put on some good movies, and I enjoy him. And I liked the Suicide Squad thing because it needed comedy and stuff like that. But does stuff like Batman, does stuff like Superman, does it need comedy? Not so much. There's certain things that you can probably put a little bit of comedy in, and I don't mind a little bit of funny ha-ha in between certain things. But like, if you're going to watch, say, a Freddy Krueger film, well, that was a bad example, but if you're going to watch a film on Michael Myers, it can't be a comedy film. Just because comedy might be popular, it can't be a comedy film. If you go see an Adam Sandler film, you're hoping it's going to be a comedy film, and you're hoping it's going to be comedy, but there's certain things you shouldn't put that in, because it takes away from the film. So if you're going to do a Batman film, I think that it needs to be dark, like the recent one with that fucking
Patterson.
disco ball vampire guy, Patterson.
Patterson.
Yeah, so like with Patterson, it was a lot of a darker tone. Didn't need comedy. I don't even think there was one little bit in there that was actually amusing. But like even that film,
I
got
think
like one or two dabs.
Penguin was a little
amusing.
bit. There was a bits with Penguin were funny, but like in a right way. For
Yeah,
that
like
kind
maybe
of
like I said, you can touch on it and it adds to the film, but then too much it takes away from the film. And this is my concern with James Gunn, is that he likes his comedy as well. And I've already been when we started to watch the trailer again, I was teetering again on that
Superman trailer.
Yeah, the new Superman trailer. So that's the first James Gunn thing. And again, I was like teetering on that, excited and concerned, because I'm just gonna point out that I fucking hate crypto in any movie. Like, stop putting that fucking dog in movies and stop making it all CG. Because one thing I watched from that trailer, you thought it looked great, but then I watched it and I was like, yeah, but I know dogs. And dogs don't really react like that. That looks like a very animated CG dog. And why the fuck is it in a cape as well? I know it's like comic accurate and stuff like that, but it's again where it's like you're adding like weird little comedy factors to it. And I know that Crypto has a cape and all that lot, but I'm just like,
yeah, but it's got this is it. He's going to, like, I believe he's going to give it. This is a comic world. Like, fact that the parts comic worlds are not, as much as there'll be realism to it. If you're going to have Crypto, he's going to have a cape.
I know,
and,
but like, just don't put him in it. It
okay.
adds nothing to the fucking film. It's a fucking dog.
What's your dog called?
Crypto.
I fucking hate Crypto. Your dog's out there in the kitchen right now going, oh.
Yeah, and sometimes I want to put a cape in him and throw him out the fucking window in the mornings. But no, it's like, I don't know. It's like there's bits of it that I'm just like, I don't feel Crypto's going to add to the movie, so I didn't see the point in putting him in. You've got freaking, I love Green Lantern, and I've already spoke to you about this, and the moment he popped up, he looked like fucking Uncle Fester in the Addams Family too.
Yeah.
And like, I think you've done like a little TikTok on it as well in the comparisons. I'm like, mate, as soon as I saw that, I saw Uncle Fester with his little wig on.
He does look weird, but like I said to you, to me, see, when I think of Guy Gardner, the first comic I go to that I remember meeting Gardner is The Death of Superman. And I remember thinking he's got a weird haircut.
That's bowl haircut, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bowl.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that looked stupid in the actual the trailer. So I'm like, so why didn't you go with? And the worst bit is that he looks more like the more modern looking guy Gardner than the old one. So it's like you could have just had him as he is with his normal hair colour, all that kind of stuff. Just give him that kind of buzz cut a little bit, like just give him a little bit of a haircut. But it's like he would have been fine. But they just went with that freaking bowl cut.
But again, this is one of them things we don't know. What if that's a thing in it? Is that because I mean he does look silly, and it is because it's Nathan Fillion as well. That is like the most opposite of what haircut, or because he's always got kind of a trendy looking haircut. It's
yeah, but that's what I was saying. His actual normal haircut is very similar to the more modern versions of Guy Gardner.
What if, like, I mean, again, I'm touching at straws, but what if in the movie it's a part of it where someone, like, because he's come from whatever universe or wherever he's come from, someone says to him, like, if you're going to fit in on Earth, you need to sort your haircut, and that he does get a normal one.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see it. I'm excited to see it, but I'm also guarded in terms of I'm not expecting too much, because I'm fully expecting to probably walk out of that movie and go, you know what, that I didn't enjoy that. Because I'm so used to having that with
DC,
superhero
and
movies these days.
it's I mean, you know me, I'm always hopeful with this kind of thing, and I like that they're not giving us a Superman. He's you see Krypton explode, or we've seen that,
yeah.
And finally, when we get to Batman, we're not getting Batman. Like, I really don't want to see someone walking down an alleyway, the pearls drop. I know that I've seen
it's been done to death.
And like, this
is what they're doing with the Fantastic Four. Like, how many times has that been rebooted? And they said, you know what, we're not going to go with the origin story. We'll touch on it as like this happened in the past. We might do the odd flashback, but we're not going to start it with them going to space, because everyone's seen that movie 3 times over now. And it's probably the same with that. Like, not being funny, but we've all seen Batman. We've all seen Superman. We've all seen, like, well, not so much the Flash. I'm still waiting for a Flash, but it's like we've all seen the origins of the big superheroes. There's no need to keep going over the same shit. You can just touch on it.
And yeah, I mean, I do have this hope because have you watched Creature Commandos?
No. No, that's the animated DC.
Yeah,
one,
which
isn't
is, even though Superman is the first real intro into the DC universe, Creature Commandos is canon
Yeah,
for
I
the
heard
whole
that, actually.
universe. And I don't know what to say, but spoilers, there is your first glimpse of one of the big Justice League characters. Have you seen any of this? I don't want to spoil
No.
it if you've not seen it. But one of
I
the,
mean,
there is,
chances are I'm not going to go back and watch Creatures
I
Commandos, so...
mate, I'm not gonna lie. From what I've been told, if you love Invincible, which I know you do,
Oh, mate, I love Invincible. I'm just waiting for that next season to finish.
I've been told that Creature Commandos is quite, it's similar in the way it's done, and it's grown up. It's quite grown up.
I've just
So
got
it gives,
so much maths to catch up on. It's like it's on every day.
honestly, what's happened to you?
I got old.
You got old and into like the programs.
Some people like going and touching kids. Some people sit down and watch maths. It's like,
Dude, I really cannot call this episode because I've heard you say the words "touch this."
I didn't say the N word. Not that one.
Oh, I know, but the most common phrase you've said in this episode, and I swear you're doing it on purpose, is "touch on that" or "touch this."
I am offended, sir.
I am offended that I might have to call this episode "Can't touch this." Can't touch this, and when
Or
people
going down on
realise
kids.
what. No, too far.
I'm brainstorming. Like, it's a process. Like, they're not always good ideas. Like,
They're not great ideas, and I really wish we'd have wrapped this episode up 10 minutes ago because of you. But let's go back to the DC because we're over the hour mark now. Right, okay, let's go back. Let me tell you. So, I think yes, DC is going to be colourful. It's going to have that James Gunn comedy aspect. But from what I've heard from critics, I think maybe it's something we should both give a try.
no, 100%. Like, I'm looking forward to
think-
it being a slight GLA movie as well. Like, I love the look of Hawkeye. I like the look of most of the characters, bar Green Lantern so far.
Yeah, but I think Creatures Commander. I've watched the first episode. I think that's something maybe me and you, because if you love Invincible, I've been told it's like a similar, not premise, but it's on comparison for animation like Invincible.
Yeah.
I think we should give that a go and see what we think of that, because that will give us an idea, and then we could talk about that cameo that's in. I think it's the final episode of someone. It's someone very big.
What streaming service is it on?
I don't know. I know I was having to watch it on one of them funny sites. I can send you a link if need be. I might be able to download it and get it for you. Figure it out. But
I don't condone that.
I know you don't. But you'll talk about everything else that we shouldn't talk about. You're a fucking arsehole.
I didn't say I didn't condone a lot of the stuff I talk about as well. I just
How about this though? I've had a theory, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this with DC. Now, James Gunn has said, he's been honest that, I like Henry Cavill, I like Ben Affleck, but I just couldn't go this route because I have to think for the future. He's also recently said, my end game movie is going to be 6 or 7 years down the line. So all of these stories will culminate in a big ending in 6 or 7 years. But he's also talking that this universe is going to go for 10 or 20. What if whatever the I hate to say it, the Infinity Saga is for DC, where we get this big movie, probably a Justice League movie in 6 or 7 years.
yeah.
What if after that, then they're going to go to the multiverse? Because have you seen this picture of James Gunn and Zack Snyder he posted about a week or two ago? That he posted on his Instagram a picture of him and Zack Snyder, something like best friends or whatever. And I'm like, that he doesn't do anything without purpose. I think we may get a multiverse story down the line where we get Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, hopefully not Ezra Miller, but maybe
Or
Gal
Jared Leto, I
Gadot.
swear down. No,
Yeah.
Jared Leto, no Poxy Ezra Miller.
But I think we might get the Trinity. We may get Affleck, Gal Gadot, and Cavill come into the multiverse. Among others, we may still. I mean, he's getting past the point where we may be able to do it. But Keaton might get an appearance. But a multiverse that he's got a trio of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman that, yes, will be older, but will also be young enough to come back and join the young versions in this universe.
Yeah.
That we could have a good storyline. I generally believe that we're going to see him again.
I don't know. Like, I'm really hoping that James Gunn is also probably going down the same route of
Jason Momoa could come back.
I'm hoping that James Gunn's also going to lock onto the fact of everyone's done the multiverse so many times now, and I'm not going to try and because I think he's got that ego side about him, James Gunn, where he's going to be like, you know what, I don't need multiverses and cameos to make my films great. And I'm thinking that's where he might be at with that, because I think that he's under that impression of pulling in past stars is just a cheap pop to get ratings and people on board.
But at the same time, we know, being comic fans, that DC, a lot of DC biggest comic stories are about the multiverse. Crisis, Infinite Crisis, Crisis on Two Earths and stuff.
Yeah.
DC has some of the best multiverse stories out there.
But they don't bring in, even with the multiverse stories, they're not bringing in characters that are different characters. They're bringing in, like, freaking Bruce's dad as Batman in, like, the Flashpoint and stuff like that, you know. It's like they're bringing in other people became Batman, and Martha became Joker and stuff like that. They're bringing in total flips on their head
which you could do that. But you say that as well. Crisis on Two Earths, which I think, if I'm right, if my knowledge is, was one of the first multiverse crises. It was Crisis on Two Earths. It was the more modern Superman with Barry Allen's Flash, but they met, like, the golden age.
Okay.
So Jay Garrick and stuff like that. So I'm like, what if they did that and we get, so basically the Crisis on Two Earths could be that we've got our young cast, David Corenswet, whoever's playing Batman, etc., Supergirl, but we also get
like Gotham by Gaslight Batman, Victorian Batman. That'd be sick.
Yeah, so we get Ben Affleck. It might not exactly be the Zack Snyder universe, because the relevance of that we want to forget, like Ezra Miller. But we'll get a mature, a golden age.
Wasn't he a rule number 2 as well, Ezra Miller?
Yeah, he would be now. Yeah, he would be considered rule number 2. So that's the last time we mentioned him. But obviously, we know Jason Momoa is going to still be in the new DC universe, and I'm pretty sure you are okay with who he's going to be playing, right?
Is he going to be like Lobo?
He is confirmed. They're filming Supergirl now with him as Lobo.
I was going to say, because that's a good casting for Lobo. So I was like,
have you seen what again, another for James? This is what I love about him. He shares such intimate stuff. He shared the text message he first got when he was confirmed to be taken over DC with Jason Momoa. The text that when he was confirmed to be taken over DC, Jason Momoa texted him 2 words: "Fucking Lobo." And he responded, "Dude, I've said you should be Lobo for years, no lie." That was basically how they were basically.
Now we just need Batista as Bane. Although no, because he's a bit skinny now, isn't he?
He has lost so much weight. And because we know Batista as the wrestler, the big jacked up guy, because he looks so skinny. Like, he isn't, but he looks ill.
He looks like a vegan.
He looks ill, doesn't he? He looks scared. It's like, and how quick it's happened as well. Because Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was only a year or 2 ago. It's how slim he looks. And maybe it's for a role or something like that, but obviously he looks a lot older because his beard is grey and he looks so skinny. But
but you got a mask for that. That don't matter. As long as you're jacked, it's like.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. But like that image you saw him at whatever awards it was, he looks old and really skinny. It was like. It's like we were saying earlier, that realisation that we get old because our heroes are old looking old. Yeah. So, Jason Momoa's Lobo, are you down for that?
Yeah, I like that. Like, that's the thing. When I was sitting there, I've not actually heard this or seen this, to be fair.
It was
literally
confirmed.
Just me going by in my head. I was like, if Jason Momoa is going to play anyone in the DC universe, who's it going to be? And Lobo's a good fit for it. Like,
they've confirmed, obviously, Superman's finished. Supergirl is being filmed. Lanterns, the TV show, is now being filmed. That's confirmed.
Right.
And James, the thing is, what I like, James Gunn has said, I know when I first took over, I told you what films I'm probably going to make. He said, but I have this thing, unless a script comes in front of me that I am happy with to put into production,
Yeah.
then plans are open because like for example, I think what film was it? There was another DC film that they said they were 100% going to make. Maybe it was Batman, but they said but the scripts that I was getting weren't good enough, so that's on hold until it's right. So unless it's correct, which we know that
it's all gonna depend on the first film. Basically, I'm
Yes.
gonna go into that first film. If it's a massive comedy fest, then I'm probably not. Yeah, you jumped out for a little bit, but
That was really
as
weird.
long as you heard me. But
Yeah.
that first film, as long as I come out of that film thinking, you know what, I think it's in safe hands. I enjoyed it, and I'm not expecting it to be fantastic. I would just like to come out of that film and go, that was a good film. If I can so put it down as a good film, if I can rate it above 5 out of 10, I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. So I'm keeping it at that kind of mid. You know what I'm like? I hate getting too excited for something because every time I get too excited for something, it's been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. So I'm kind of being a bit reserved, as I've always been. I'm expecting the worst, hope for the best.
And again, going back to the multiverse thing, obviously, there's been rumours that maybe Pattinson's Batman will be the Batman now, but he's confessed that look, that's not on the cards. I like his universe being his universe. Again, get to 8 years down the line where we're going through the multiverse, there's 3 Batmen that could still play Batman quite active. Affleck, whoever the new one is, and Patterson. We could have him come in because he's like Elseworld is going to be a thing, and we don't know what other Elseworld movies they're going to make. Maybe they'll make the Batman by Gaslight, or they'll do the Kingdom Come Superman. Brandon Routh could still be Superman as well, which is another one, and he's proven in the Arrowverse that he is still good and can still play a good Superman. I believe. So I've got a lot of hope, dude. Be honest with me, because we're wrapping this up. How does it feel to be doing this again?
I said I don't think I'll be back.
Don't lie to me. You've missed
It's been alright. It's chatting shit as we normally do.
It's what we always do. It's how we started it, how we're still going. We look a lot older than we did literally 4 years ago when we started this. I didn't do with this beard, but
mine's got a bit more white in it,
mate. Mine is nearly all white. It's really bad. But I did get a nice because Jacob really upset me last year when he said to me, Ryan, you look like Doctor Strange. And I went, what? Because of like my beard? And he went, no, because you've got the grey bits going down the side. But yesterday he gave me a really
could be
big
worse
compliment.
if he was like fucking Professor X. You'd be like, you little.
Yeah, it's even worse. Like because Professor X is fully adapted to bald. It could be like, you look like the guy.
Wait, I was talking about a tiny dick.
And that's Talks with Dorks, episode 7. No, but like he could have at least go the guy that plays Professor X, but when he played Captain Picard and he had that bit round the side. But he went to me yesterday. He come walking down the stairs yesterday, and he'd been watching obviously a lot of wrestling, Jacob, and he went, Ryan, why do you look like CM Punk? I was like, good boy. Good boy. I was like, because I'm trying. That's all I can hold on to. He's got a bit of a grey beard now, so I'm trying to go for the CM Punk look, and I'm glad it's working with you, Jacob. Even if no one else thinks it, you do.
See, I thought you looked more like Road Dogg.
Could be worse. I could look like Shawn Michaels.
Or Hulk Hogan.
Oh, why do you have to go back to people that? It's always referring back to the N word that's not the bad. Really bad. No, hang on.
What word?
So, I have to remind you guys that we are promoting on a wrestling show on May 31st. Talks with Dorks presents Never Say Die. It will feature the UK debut of the Pond Bros, AJ Slambino and Paul Johnson Naylor, aka Goonie Dad. We've got RJ Singh. We've got Johnny Misfit Royal. We've got Ribbit. We've got Sunset Skip, Richie, Sullivan King. We've got Mr. Dexter, David Blackadder. We've even got Jimmy V, Mia Cortez, Dominita. We have got, I'm trying to remember what else, Preston Sage. We've got TikTok wrestling creator sensations, JE and Stally as GMs. Parky Streams will be there. Max's wrestling channel, Danielle's Games, the Cosplay Nightmare. Kev D will be there himself. Ash, you're even going to pop down and be part of the crowd on May 31st, right?
Yeah, I'm going to come for shits and gigs.
Yeah, just to see if we can put on a wrestling show better than we put on a podcast. And all I have to say to you is get your tickets by the link in our profile. I'll even throw up a poster here that has a QR code you can scan. Please get your tickets. And don't forget, if you are a card grader and you would like to get your cards graded, go to treefroggrading.com, put in the code TWD15 for 15% off your card grading.
Wow, this has changed, isn't it?
Yeah, we got promotions and sponsors and everything. Sprinkle. My name's Ryan. I'm on social media as at the DJ Ryan S. Ash, do you still have your? You're not on social media at all, okay?
Don't really do socials. I do a bit of TikTok every now and again when I'm having a coffee.
Yes. So, can people
it's
follow
usually
you
just
there?
Boobs and smoking meats and DIY. That's literally my TikTok.
So people can't go follow you on that.
There's absolutely no point. There's nothing on it. It's literally just something
literally.
I doom scroll when I'm having my coffees in the morning.
Or having a poo on the toilet. It's so much worse than when the old paper days in it, when people used to sit and read the newspaper, because you get to a bit like the whatever it called, like the Wall Street Journal part of it. You go, right, done with that. With doom scrolling, you can sit there and go, man, I've been having a poo for 2 hours. What's going on?
Is that it? I just used to like grab my erection and pretend I was loading a dumper truck and just dropping them out, just like da-doom.
I suppose you only need a small kind of gear stick for your dumper trucks.
Yeah.
Little dig Ash. We are at Talk Dork Podcast. If you want to follow our socials, if you haven't already, press the like, press the subscribe, do all that good stuff. Ash, I will say it if you don't want to say it. I love that you're back, and that even if you're not here for every single episode, you're here to step back in when you can and fuck things up, because you've done it already.
Thanks, bud.
It's good to have you back. One thing that hasn't changed is Ash.
Yep.
Final thoughts, final words. Tell us your outro.
Don't be a nonce.
See you later.